Welcome back to AM Northwest. In a job interview, what we say may not be as important as what our nonverbal behavior is saying about us. So here to help us ace our next interview, we welcome back behavioral investigator Vanessa Van Edwards. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
And just in time, because we're always worried that this could be the last show. Yeah. What are your tips for people who are on a job interview is have one bag? I assume this applies to women.
Yes. Well, actually, a lot of times now men, they might have like a briefcase and an extra bag or a coat. You're actually not only supposed to have one bag, but just one thing. A lot of research has shown that if a woman has a purse and a briefcase, or a man has a purse and a big coat, he actually is seen as disorganized, messy, out of control.
Oh, that makes sense.
Just that one thing. And remember that 93% of our communication is nonverbal.
Right.
Yeah. 93%. So people go into interviews thinking about just that, with only 7% just their verbal content, where there's 93% other communication you can have to show that you're a perfect candidate. And by the way, this works for parents who have kids who are interviewing. Share these tips too. So
just one bag.
One bag. So if you're a woman, have one bag that's a briefcase. Have your toiletries or whatever you
leave
ladies
it in the
carry
car.
your purse. Yeah.
Leave it in the car if you can. Take off your scarf and your mittens and put them away before you go in. And if the front desk asks you, hey, can I take your coat? The answer is always yes.
Yes.
Right,
Very
exactly.
good.
You also say, don't forget the back of your shoes.
Yes. So they did all these amazing polls of HR people, and they said, what's the last thing that you think of when someone leaves? And a majority of responses were, I think of what the back of their shoes looks like. Because when you turn around and you walk out the door, it's real easy to see, is it scuffed? Are they kind of, not looking so good, not looking so hot? So you don't need to buy a nice, expensive pair of shoes, but just make sure that they're polished, that they look nice. Remember, that's the last thing an interviewer sees.
Interesting. That's an interesting point, because I often think about shoes. When I see people walking away, you'll see where the heel has worn way, 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 way down. And I always think, oh, they need new shoes.
Yeah.
And for my shoes, same thing.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
all right.
You
Trickery.
Say, I think that's really interesting. Smile right.
Okay, so women, when we're nervous, we tend to smile because we want to be friendly, we want to build rapport. Actually, the more powerful the person, the less they smile. And we also perceive this. So as women tend to smile more, their perceived intelligence is lower because they think of them as ditzy or flitty. So smile right means smile when you first meet someone. So when you give them a handshake, hello, nice to meet you, right? Hello, nice to meet you. And when you leave, and when you're talking about something you're passionate about. Otherwise, you want to be careful not to smile too much because it actually makes you look like you're flitty.
And women are we're trained to smile a lot.
Right, right. And we smile when we're nervous or uncomfortable to cover up our nerves, but actually that makes us look not as confident.
Right. I'm always leery of somebody, just as another example, if you're buying something, go, no, that's going to be the best price we have on that. And then they smile. I always feel like, well, why are you smiling about that?
Exactly.
It seems like a lie.
It feels fake, and exactly. And so a lot of times when people will advise nervous interviewees, just smile if you're nervous. That actually is not a good thing to do. So we're going to talk a little bit later about what body language
Turn
you
that
can
smile
do.
upside down.
Don't frown.
Don't contract, don't expand.
Okay, so another thing that women do when they're nervous is they tend to try to make themselves as small as possible. So they'll sit like this, or they'll sit with their arms inside the arms of the chair, and they'll cross their legs tightly to be as small as possible. That actually makes them look weak. Men do the opposite. Men, when they're nervous, they try to gain territory. So they put an arm over a chair, or they spread their legs sort of kind of wide, and when they're sitting, that is very aggressive for a female interviewer, and for a male interview, it's seen as competitive. So for a man, try not to, claim territory, plant your feet right, shoulder length is always good. And for a woman, don't tuck yourself in, sort of claim your space, be a little bit more confident. It's a very easy thing you can do to show confidence.
And then also you say sit right. That's part of it, right?
Right. So actually the way that we're sitting right now, slightly angled, is the best way to talk to one another. There was a great study that was done that showed that when you are directly across from someone, whether that's a round table or a square table, you recall less of what they say. There's something about it that we feel like we're adversaries. So if you come in and you have a choice of chairs in an interview, to sit slightly angled right at the desk, or even turn your body an angle, that actually makes you look like you're on the same side. It subconsciously shows them we're on the same side, we're not adversaries.
Oh, good one. You also say start in the parking lot.
Yeah, okay, so how many times has it happened where you're in the parking lot and you're walking upstairs and you see someone and all of a sudden they're your interviewer, like they're coming up from lunch?
Right.
Don't start this when you walk into the room. Start it in the parking lot, when you're walking in the elevator, when you're waiting in the waiting room. all the receptionists. You never know who you're going to meet or see because they might be the ones who will show you. And that's when you can start to build up your confident body language. So, start to claim your space and be more confident, because that will actually cause you to feel more confident as you're walking into the interview.
Plus, there's so many surveillance cameras.
Everywhere.
You walk into a building, who knows what's going to be caught.
Exactly.
So, yeah, if you're falling apart. That's all very, very good. And what if you're really feeling nervous? What should you think to just get past that?
Right. So if you are really uptight and nervous, Amy Cuddy, researcher, found that not only if you go like this are you confident, but if you do this, you actually start to feel confident. So this is an alpha body language. Do this for a couple of minutes before you walk in. Loosen your shoulders.
Okay, so don't sit in the interview like this, because this
No,
looks
no.
like
But
you're
before you go
shy.
before you go in, do a little pep talk. Look in the mirror and be like, I'm here. I'm confident. I can do
You
it.
got it. Always great tips. We'll have it on the website too. Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more AM Northwest.